It's 8. I genuinely feel like we've been going forward. We've been moving things forward. I think we're identifying and diagnosing plays a lot better. Our offensive recognition is really growing. I think understanding deployment of receivers and releases and splits and winning the pre-snap guys. The football character and the football identity and football intelligence is really coming to life. And you're seeing guys just put a foot in the ground and make plays. You're seeing guys stay more sticky in coverage. And I think the film is really telling that story right now. I think we're in a solid place right now. We got a lot of work in front of us, but I like what I'm seeing right now from the group.
How's the communication piece just on the entire back end because there are so many new parts?
Absolutely. Something we stress a lot is we talk about winning the pre-snap, your alignment, where your eyes are, bending your knees, burning your eyes, that communication, the disguise element that comes into play. How do we show one picture and play something else? So much of it with Keon and Malachi and DeVonta Smith over there at the Husky spot, and then really getting that communication, out to the corners, whoever's on the edge. And we stress it a lot in walkthroughs, we stress it in meetings, and guys are taking great ownership in that. I think when you can win the pre-snap, when you can win that first 38 seconds before the ball turns over, and be able to give the quarterback multiple looks and play different coverage concepts behind it, it takes communication. But I think we're in a good place with it, and the guys have been doing a pretty good job with it.
A guy like Zabien Brown, even with that club on his hand, he still seems to make catches in practice when we're out there. How would you assess his development even just the past couple of weeks?
I think the fact alone that he hasn't missed a beat. I mean, he had a small little injury to his hand, and he got right back out there, and he practiced and finished practice with it, and it hasn't affected him at all. I think he's got a lot of mental toughness, the ability to not let things affect your game and not get distracted by things. So he's a real focused guy. His play is really in a good place right now, and we're going to need him to be good, and I think he's taking care of what we need to take care of right now.
I know you weren't really here for most of his recovery last season, but DeVonta Smith, kind of what do you know about his resiliency and bouncing back, and then what have you seen from him?
It took you like 5 seconds to be around him when we first got here. I think his energy is genuine, it's infectious, it's contagious, it's real. And I always say, messages from the heart always enter the heart. Guys that have that real energy always can spark other guys to bring practices to life. You love being around Smitty. You love the energy that he provides, his attitude, and then he makes plays. And I think you can be a guy that maybe brings that energy sometimes, but ultimately you got to let your play back it up. And I think he's been doing that. So I think he's hungry to prove himself. I think he's hungry to prove a point. I think the best version of players that are out there are guys that are looking to prove a point, guys that are looking to make statements, and he recognizes that this could be an opportunity for him, and I think he's trying to maximize the moment and maximize the situation that he's in right now. Think about our secondary right now. I think we got a number of guys that are probably in a very similar boat, like a Damani Jackson, a new guy stepping in with Zabien and Mbakwe and Mincy with young guys, Keon Sabb coming over from Michigan, even Malachi Moore going into his last year. Everyone recognizes the opportunity that's in front of them and trying to do everything they can to get themselves game ready. We want to keep pouring into our players, continue to build that unbreakable bond from player to player, coach to player, and player to coach. And I think we're in a solid space right now. We got a lot of work in front of us, but the guys are working. I think things are going in the right direction. I think the players would probably tell you that too, and you feel good about what's going on the field right now.
How's DaShawn Jones coming along?
Yeah, I love DaShawn. I think what he's provided right now is an older guy that has been in big games, that has a very steady way about himself. Steady is the best way to describe him. Sometimes I've been around, you've been around louder guys, you've been around more quiet guys. Guys' personality, as I always tell guys, we got freedom of personality. Be who you are. When you step on the football field, there's a certain way you got to play the game. So he's got a steady personality, but when he steps on the grass, I think his play does shoot up. I love that we've been able to provide an older guy that's been through some battles and been through some quote-unquote football wars before on the football field. And sometimes even the younger guys, seeing a guy just kind of be able to take drills and take coaching and be steady with it, he's kind of providing that veteran experience, and the guys making plays. So we feel like we made contact. We got contact at the base when we were going up to bat to try to find a transfer guy that can come in and make plays for us, and we're pleased with what he's doing for us.
Specifically at corner, what does experience help with? What does that allow guys to do?
I think when you look at a corner position, what are some of the best corners in the game do? I think number one, your ability to play great man-to-man defense. Number two, can you win in the deep part of the field? Number three, can you make open field tackles? Number four, can you set physical edges and be the width of the defense when you need to be the width of the defense? Number five, do you have great zone instincts? And I think above and all, do you have that confidence and that swagger about yourself? And confidence comes through knowledge, confidence comes through preparation, confidence comes through demonstrated ability. And so when you're a younger guy, you're looking to build your real confidence where you don't want it to be fake or fluff. You want it to be based on substance, and you do that through reps. So that's where the reps come into play. So that demonstrated ability in a guy that can show that, hey, I can play at this level. There's a difference between I think I can and I know I can, and you're trying to close that gap. And so that comes through reps. It comes through demonstrated ability, and then always going back to a humble place and being in that humble sweet spot so you can take the coaching and continue to recognize what you need to recognize to get better. I think that's the balance of the sweet spot you want to be in, that mental sweet spot as you try to build your game and build yourself into a great player.
Is there a guy you've coached in the past who you kind of modeled that for these guys for?
Oh, man, we've had a number of guys. I think when I go to the NFL, I think about Donovan Wilson. I had him at Texas A&M, and I started safety for the Cowboys. So I had him in twofold in college and in the NFL. Jalen Jones was a corner we had with the Buffalo Bulls when I was the head coach. He's with the Bills right now. I was at the University of Minnesota. We had an Antoine Winfield, man. He was a football junkie, man. He's the highest paid safety in the NFL right now. There's a number of guys that, we watch a lot of NFL tape in our room, and you're always trying to show and reinforce your teaching through positive examples and guys, hey, this is what we want it to look like. You hear, you see, you do, so you're always trying to reinforce your teaching in multiple ways. Every guy's game is a little bit different, so you're trying to highlight, hey, why did this guy make this play? What made this guy special in this situation? It's hard to find a totally complete player, but you're always trying to raise the floor and the ceiling of your player's game so they're not wholly deficient in any one area, and then highlight those strengths and let their strengths, let them rely and be confident in the things that they do well. So you're always examining and evaluating your players, especially through training camp. You're trying to be as critical as possible on your players and teaching them to be as critical as they can on themselves so you can detail your workout, pay attention to the small things, because if you pay attention to the small things more times than not, you're taking care of the big things as well. So I think we got a really clean process in place with the practices that Coach DeBoer puts together, with the style of defense that Coach Womack and the back end and everything that we're doing and how it's coming together. I think the confidence of our room is growing, and I think we're in a healthy place right now. The best way I can describe it is we're in a healthy place. Now, we have work to do. We got a lot of days in front of us. We're going to be where our feet are. We're not taking a single day for granted, but I think they're taking the coaching, and they're in a good spot with all those things.
Last two.
You obviously have a pretty young cornerback room. Have you started to notice some of those guys adopting maybe some of those traits of a Winfield or any of those other guys?
I think you don't want to stretch and reach. You talk about some of these top tier guys, but we have high caliber players. They just don't have that game experience yet. So it's a twofold, I think, mission. You're trying to put them in some stressful practice situations where you can push them, but the whole objective is how do I get you and how do we get yourself game ready? The time on task that it takes to really go out there. Hey, now the coaches are gone. No one's sitting in your ear. This one counts right here. How do I get myself in a place where I'm confident and I know and I'm prepared to go out there and play to the standard of the play that the defense needs you to play at? It comes through time on task and practice. So we got a confident group of guys. These guys are used to being successful. They're highly recruited guys, but obviously it's the day after day, the ups and the downs, the pushing forward, growing your toughness, growing your mental toughness, your physical toughness, your ability to focus at the task at hand, and all the things that come along through the process to create the right habits to get yourself game ready. I think that's what the guys have been doing right now.
All good. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.